We're snorting cap rates and shooting up cash flow here at Deal Junkies. Welcome back to Deal Junkies. Are you laughing?
Yeah,
you're crying.
He's
That's
crying.
funny, both.
I feel like you're not ready for this game.
All right.
Hey, guess what I'm doing this weekend?
What are you doing this weekend?
I'm
Running
doing,
100 miles?
I'm doing another 100-mile attempt on Saturday.
Yeah, see, so the first time
Why do you call it an attempt? Why don't you just say, I'm going to run 100 miles?
The first two didn't go so well.
I think it's just
But-
bad attitude.
I'm going to make this one.
Well,
You're
because
going to run 100 miles.
I'm
this
going to run
weekend.
100 miles on Saturday.
Yeah, it's
On a
not
treadmill?
It's not an
No.
attempt.
on a track?
Around Salem?
Around Salem.
Cool.
You're going to run 100 miles around Salem?
Yeah.
Mhm. He's going to run around Salem 7 times.
I'm going to come take him out with the Jeep.
Do you have like anybody recording this or like following you around or cheering for you or anything?
I have. So I learned from the last time. Don't have people run with you the whole time because
They can't.
no, like
They'll die.
no, even in sections because then you got to talk to people for 24 hours and that's exhausting. So I'm doing the first like 50 to 60 and then people are coming after.
When you get bored.
Yeah, and then to help like push you through it. And then Dane's going to run with me. He's been kind enough to volunteer for the hours of 11 p.m. to 6 a.m.
Oh, you're running all night long?
Yeah.
It's going to
How
be.
long is this thing going to take you?
I'm starting at 5 a.m. Saturday.
Probably 48 hours.
Probably not that long. It'll take like 20 to 30 hours.
I'm just going to walk to Portland and back for a few days and say I did it too.
Good luck.
Yeah.
I don't think you'd make it.
That's how we're doing our Ironman from our house. We're going to have to swim 2 miles and then ride a bike to Portland and back and then run a marathon around Salem.
You guys are insane. So you're going to...
So how long is the bike ride?
112 miles.
Holy.
It is quite... That is correct.
Yeah, it's like 56
quite a bike
miles. Yeah.
ride. Yeah.
Is that how long it's supposed to be in an Ironman?
For a full Ironman, yeah.
Wow.
So most people do a half Ironman, which is a 56-mile bike ride.
Dude, I want to see you guys try and climb that hill by the Mormon monument. You're going to die.
I'm not excited for that part.
No.
Going back down's fun, though.
You'll be like 52 miles in going up a steep hill.
Yeah, but Trevor's going to do 100 miles finally. Yeah, it does turn out the hard part is talking to people for 24 hours. It's not even the running 100
So wait a
miles
second.
part.
You're going to go run with them all in the middle of the
or
night?
bike.
Yeah, I'll do some
6
part
hours of it?
No, just, well, maybe.
Thank
sections.
you, Gabe. See, here's the thing for all the listeners. I've helped Trevor on both of his other attempts. And the thing
I'm
about
going to
that-
help you on your 3-hour marathon.
The thing about that is that when you run from 11 p.m. to 6 a.m., but with somebody else who's running 100 miles, everybody's like, oh, that's nice of you. Mm-hmm. But it's not like that's awful within itself.
You're just
That
like a
is
small
awful.
blip on that story.
That's the
You realize
worst
I
part.
just ran from 11 to 6,
Yeah.
and I'm just
No,
a
I know.
helper.
Yeah, most of you guys
Yeah.
wouldn't even want to do that part.
Yeah, in fact,
But
none
then
of you
it's-
probably have.
No. Well, last time, thankfully, Trevor quit like an hour after I started running with him.
I'm not going to come run with you, but if you want to call me on your run, I'll talk to you for a few minutes.
Yeah.
I'll give you 5
At the hours
I'll
of
give you-
3 a.m.?
I'll give you 5 minutes. No, it's got to be before bedtime. 9 p.m. or earlier.
Yeah.
I'll drive by and give you some electrolytes.
Well, we're wishing you the very best on this journey.
I'm so
Trevor.
excited to talk about it next week.
I hope you do it.
Me too, because I really want to stop running. I've been freaking running for a year and a half trying to do this.
You stopped for a while.
I stopped for summer.
Yeah, but here's the
Yeah.
problem. Once you do it, you're going to come up with some crazier idea.
That's why we're
than
doing
what you
a
have
full
now.
Ironman.
I'm going to buy a dog after I do it.
Oh.
That's pretty crazy. You should get married and have kids. That'd be even crazier.
Whoa. Awkward. And it was. Let's talk about other deals.
All right, Mike's going to give us a sermon on death.
God, I feel like a dick now. I'm sorry, probably my French.
A ding dong.
You are,
sermon.
dude. You're stirring it
Hey,
up on there.
hey, I'm on Facebook. You are a dick.
Yeah.
I'm not a soapbox human being, but I do like to ask questions and ponder and see
You
what
like to piss people off.
You-
patterns.
Yeah, Mike has got some Trump energy in him. He likes to just rile things up a little bit.
A lot of it.
It's like old man energies entering my psyche.
You're like, I'm old enough now to say whatever I want to say.
I was thinking about starting a YouTube channel and calling it "Come Sit on My Lawn."
Oh, I thought you were going to say laugh for a second.
was coming.
Wow, no, like
Crazy old man.
'Cause I have this-
That's going to get flagged.
I've got some get off my lawn energy, but more in a "come sit on my lawn" type of way.
No.
I'd sit on your
Not
lawn.
everyone would read it that way.
Well, yeah, if you're a biased human being that can't expand your mind, then you don't.
Yep, that's
agree
why
with
you
me a lot
piss
of times.
people off when you
Don't-
tell them that after.
Do you think, aren't you biased, Mike?
Yeah, absolutely. But I do a very good job of acknowledging when if someone shows me my bias, I don't double down in my bias.
Whoa.
Are you sure?
Yeah, give me an example.
whoa.
Give me an example.
Go to that Facebook post.
Everybody go to Mike's Facebook
So-
page right now and look at what
Okay,
he's doing.
but Trevor, you haven't actually read it.
I read it.
I didn't, but
Okay.
I laughed.
Let's
Is
not,
this why we're talking
I don't
about
know why
death?
we're
let's-
talking about
let's-
this.
let's-
Somebody's
talk
going to try to
about-
kill you, Mike.
You're
That's
the
why
ones
we're
that said
talking
you didn't
about
want to
it.
talk about this.
Let's
I
talk
didn't
about
say
your
that.
deal
Okay.
and how death affected it.
Yeah, so we signed on Monday, closed on Tuesday, had the chaos of closing because stupid stuff flows up.
What deal is this?
The 46 unit.
Oh, your big one.
We're recorded. We own it.
Yeah.
And
Somebody
then-
died?
No. But Wednesday morning, I went to the office really early because I had an 8 o'clock appointment. I had to get work done. So I was there at like 6, and this lady shows up. Oh, I'm in unit 17 at this property. It's a psychological warfare conversation. My neighbor parks not far enough in, and it's really hard for me I'm going to hit someone, and I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And I'm like, yeah, driving lessons are great. Being able to communicate with your neighbor is awesome. Like, that's what happens when you buy value add real estate. You just get personalities that sidetrack you.
So
Why are
one
they
of your-
talking to you about this?
Because they came into the office and I opened the door.
That's your PM company office?
Yeah.
And they're complaining about something?
Yeah, their neighbor in the parking situation.
Okay. Mm-hmm. That's it?
That's not
So
death.
You
No,
killed them or what? What happened?
No. You entertain them for a few minutes and they go on and on and on. And then you say, all right, submit a maintenance request. We need photos. I got to go on, and you help them get out there. But I just mentioned that because of whatever you said. But the death is on Wednesday. I got a call from one of my favorite sellers who is a lender, who was one of the first, not the first, but one of the first lenders I was moving notes with. Understood contracts and promissory notes and hates capital gains tax and loves deals. And I met him in person on this effed up tiny little house in a part of town that I'd never want to own a piece of real estate in. And so we bought it and flipped it just to get his financing. And he loved it, absolutely loved it. And I remember that first time sitting down at breakfast when we were going to talk about moving the note. And the property was on the market. And he's like, I saw you had the property on the market. He's like, you're not going to pay me off, right? It's like, no, we talked about this. We're not. The whole goal is not to pay you off. We made a 10-year commitment to you that we're not going to pay you off. And anyways, so he calls, and I had just moved his note a few months ago. So we just recollateralized him for a triplex that we had sold. And in context of building a portfolio, so that's why this is a sermon, is how do you plan, right? So building a portfolio requires finance, it requires planning, it requires understanding your real estate schedule, understanding your maturity dates, understanding your leverageable equity, creating plans for all those things. And so the beauty of having sellers with movable notes on smaller amounts is they can go into second position. And so when you have really good seller financing, now you can tap into equity. So when I met them in 2017, we started buying real estate in 2012. So this is at a period of time where you have sitting equity dead doing nothing for you, right? So a way of now your life expands because you learn tools to expand your resources without expanding your resources. And so now you can structure things.
More leverage.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And in proper ways and safer ways. So anyways, we moved the note a few times, and it's a couple, and his wife, the story is amazing. His wife died. She was the caretaker, married the caretaker, fell in love. Great 20-year marriage, but she would send me emails almost every day. So I was on her list of email sharing list, uplifting messages. And so multiple times a week, I see her name come across the email. And so Bob calls, and when we met, they wanted to make some adjustments with their trust, and they wanted to extend the maturity date. So the maturity date's in 2027. And I hadn't done anything because I was waiting on their attorney to get me information on the trust so I could assign the note and extend the maturity date at the same time. And he left a message, and I thought that's what he was calling about. And I just bought this building, and I was all excited to call him. And he said something odd. I was like, how you doing? I was all excited, and he said something odd. It was weird. And I questioned it, and he said, she died yesterday.
Oh.
And
this is your uplifting gal that's reaching out to you all the time.
Yeah. And I'd known that our plan was to get back together in a few months, finish these documents we needed to do, celebrate on some other things that were happening in their life. And, you're like on a cloud high as you can be on one day. And I'm driving down the freeway. And you can't feel the emotions all the time. You are, but you can't, and you have to, but then you have to work. And I've been in Portland every single day, and I've been late in Portland every single day, and I've stayed the night in Portland one night, and I've driven back late. And it's just, now you kind of pause and you reflect, and it's a Friday and the week is over, and you're like, damn. And then, well, life still goes on, and you still need a plan. And now comes the reality of, some business principles and thoughts of that was, I could have rushed. This is why you rush to get paperwork done. So you could have an extension so you have more time on those notes. But at the same time, if they had called and said, look, I know we did this extension and we really want it paid off in 27 and not in 2030, you're still going to do what you need to do to get it paid off. But now it's like, well, I'm going to be, dealing with the grandchild now. And so now there's scrutiny because you're an investor and you bought a property and you moved notes.
Bob's still alive or Bob's?
Yeah, Bob's alive. Yeah, Bob's alive and his wife's dead. And Bob's the sweetest gentleman ever. I drove his truck. He was so happy because he bought a truck. And I drove his truck so we could go to the bank and do the notary. And I had a relationship with him. And
so you still have a relationship with Bob, though?
Yeah. And I will. But he's older. He's like 10 years older, so he's really declining. He won't be around much longer. And so she was kind of more the connector and whatnot. So it's just interesting to think of that. And then even right now, you go in these phases of like, I'm popping out of my business and then leaves more room for mentorship and then, helping young people. And like our friend who's having the refinance issue called me, and I was like just so fucking direct with him on the phone. And it's like, I use the word mental masturbation most times. Like, look, I do it too. And the reason I can recognize it and the reason I call it out is because I do this. I say, what is this? I thought it was going to be this. I thought it was going to be that. And it's like, that doesn't help you make a decision. It doesn't help you get clarity. And so I think the older I get, like with the idea of, get off my lawn type attitude, is there's less time for that type of stuff. And with people, and like you guys are getting into a level of influence and mentorship and people are looking up to you. And it's really easy to not be forceful in the way you communicate to try and get people to realize something that they're just stuck in. Does that make sense? I think that's coming out in my business a bit. I think it's coming about with my staff, with the people I mentor. So
what's the moral of this story?
I have no clue. Like, life goes on.
Well,
and
what do
you have
do
to be
with the
nimble
note?
and flexible. What's that?
So what are you doing with the note? Because you wanted to extend it.
It's due in 27, so now we'll make a plan around that property in 2027.
Do you owe the note to the estate?
Yeah.
So even if Bob were to pass, then the estate would
So right now the
negotiate
note
with
is
the trustee?
Yeah, right now it's at the personal level and needs to be assigned to the trust. Yeah, but even
now there's going to be some changes in the trust because she's passed.
Correct. But the way notes are written, it automatically happens.
Transfers.
It's already built in. But for psychology level purposes, people need to see things happen to believe they did happen, if that makes sense.
I think about this a lot because I partner, with some older guys. Like my original partners were, you guys will have to think about this soon because I'm 50 years old. But
You're going to live forever.
I'm not Brian Chauncey. I am going to live forever, yeah. Not here, though.
Yeah.
And so to think about what happens, like oftentimes when you're setting a partnership, one of the things you're not thinking about is an age difference, or when you're partnering with a seller who's going to carry for you, or you bring in a JV partner, or some of these things that we're doing. Like, it is a conversation to be had about if they're 25 years older than you at some point, and it doesn't even matter if they're older or not. Like, people can just die at any age.
Right.
So how do you deal with that? How do you plan for that? And you think about that, like even in some of our companies, I think about like, you know, some of the key players that are, you know, if something happens to one of these key players, like, I mean, it is a tremendous problem.
Yeah. Acknowledge and adjust. Scott Trench wrote a really good Facebook post. I guess they did a blog post, probably Bigger Pockets, or a podcast episode based on the fire mentality, right? Like, the fire mentality is based on math projections on minimal resources to survive. Okay, but that's projections over time is a really deadly mindset if you're basing off minimizing my resources so I can maximize life, right? If you change your mindset around maximizing your resources while maximizing life, you get put in a bad position if your projections are off. And so acknowledgement and adjustment. So acknowledge that your partners are older, acknowledge that life has changed, acknowledge that your goals have changed, and adjust accordingly. I think that's where a lot of partnerships fail.
What happens if you're doing a deal with a seller and you have a signed contract and then the seller dies? Does your transaction
Most
terminate?
contracts assign to heirs. Like, most contracts are binding on heirs. Yes. Like, if you look at a good contract, it will bind on their heirs.
So like a PSA though, like you're under contract, you're working through it. So then their estate technically has to move forward with the sale.
Yeah, and so now the process has to change because title has to recognize that. Title has to clear title, and now someone else will sign, and then maybe how they can sign, it gets affected by the will, the trust, whatever is happening.
But I mean, if you're in let's say somebody's they're experienced real estate operator, they go under contract to buy a deal, they've got heirs that have no idea what they're doing, and you're under contract, like,
Sounds like you might get a really good deal.
So, I mean, that
terrible.
happens. Like, people will do that.
No, that's terrible. I was kidding, obviously.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
But
I would assume you just continue forward.
Their tax situation changes.
I mean, I've been under contract with many sellers that if they were to die, there's no way that their heirs would be able to continue to close. Like, I don't even think the lenders would stay in the deal. Like, I think your financing would fail.
Most partnerships fall when the 1KP goes. Absolutely. And most people don't have a succession
Are you guys
plan.
saying buy side or sell side?
Both sides?
I feel like on the buy side, it's obviously much harder.
I think more just general in ownership. Like, if
Yeah,
someone dies.
if I'm under contract to buy a deal and I've got $50,000 in of DD, we're a week away from closing, and the seller dies.
Yeah.
Like, I'm still going to try to move that deal forward, obviously, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I think that the heirs would be bound by that contract. But if I'm a buyer, if a buyer dies coming into a deal,
There's no way.
like, the financing, in my opinion, is mostly going to fall apart.
Yeah.
Unless, I don't know. These are interesting conversations because real estate is, it feels very mundane and slow and kind of easy to navigate, but then it's just like all these wild things pop up.
All the time.
All the time.
Every single deal.
Every single deal.
I've never closed a deal where I've been like, oh, wow, everything went exactly
I was talking about that the other day in our boom meeting. I said, I've closed a lot of deals and I can maybe remember one or two where there wasn't like some crazy level of drama where we thought the deal was going to fall apart at the end. I mean, it just seems like every single deal is crazy.
But they always close.
Not always.
But most of the time.
Yeah, I mean, ours have been pretty successful, but
You're navigating a lot of weird stuff. I mean, you learn. It's one of the exciting things about real estate is you learn new things on every deal.
Yeah. Well, and that's I guess that's funny on our end, like Trevor and I's, is every time we're doing a deal, that thing will happen. And more often than not, like, you've already gone through that thing, but it's just like you never thought to tell us because it's like, well, it's not valuable until it's and then I call you and I'm like, hey, so super weird thing going on, and you're like, oh yeah, you just have to. And I'm like, Really? And he's like, yeah. One time in 2018. It's like, oh, okay.
When you think you've seen it all, though, even I get surprised with new things all the time.
Or you get more surprised because you have seen it all.
So since that was our whole podcast episode, I got a question for you since we didn't have any other topics. So right now, we got a lot of deals in our funnel. We don't got a lot of deals under contract necessarily. We got a couple. But what is our problem with getting these deals moving forward, and how do we get all these things lined up and in place?
Well,
so broad.
Yeah, I think
Sounds like a lot of that's outside of your control. A lot of real estate's outside of your control, so it doesn't matter how you can do things.
Yeah, you're talking about deal flow and filling your pipeline. I think that I think it's really important to understand what your goals are going in. Is our goal is to actually buy deals, and I think sometimes you can get confused. You can confuse activity for productivity. And so I have this conversation with brokers oftentimes where I'm like, hey, hitting the phones is great. Mm-hmm. Like, be proud of yourself. You went home today and you called 25 people. I'm really proud of you. But how much money did you make? Mm-hmm. Like, your goal isn't, if your goal was to call 25 people, good job. But guess what? You didn't do any deals. My goal is I pick up the phone once. I want to do a deal with that person. Like, I think that you have to understand that when you're building a pipeline of deal flow, that you have, if you've got all of these deals swimming around in your head, it's like we're chasing 50 things. It's like, okay, great. Let's pick the best one and make sure it gets under contract and not think about these other 49 until we get that one moving forward. I think there just has to be a very clear expectation of how the pipeline flows, and not just that we want a whole bunch of leads and a whole bunch of things to talk about. I think one of the biggest risks in building a real estate company is to get, it's almost like shiny object, but it's like instead of thinking about a bunch of different businesses, you're thinking about a bunch of different deals. And I think you just have to hone in. And when you talk about a funnel, the point of a funnel is you put a whole bunch in at the top and they funnel. Well, if you're putting a whole bunch into the funnel and then nothing's coming out the end, then you've got a clog in your funnel, and you have to figure out what that clog is, and you have to release it so that you, and then, you know, what's interesting is like we'll chase 10 deals and then we can't get anything under contract, and then in 1 week we'll put 5 under contract, and then you're like in the opposite. It's like the funnel is flowing too fast. Mm-hmm. There's too many. We have to like tighten this thing down and keep things. So I think that there's an art and a science to keep filling your funnel. The biggest problem you see with a lot of investors and even with a lot of brokers is they'll get a deal or two under contract, and then they'll stop trying to fill the funnel because they're like, wow, I finally got a deal. And then they just hyper focus on that, and that's all they think about. And they get to the closing and they're like, oh, I have no pipeline. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So to forget about the pipeline is a big mistake, but to fill a pipeline and never push anything through and get it to the closing table is an equally fatal mistake. Like you have to do both. You have to close deals. You have to keep filling the funnel. It has to happen simultaneously.
Yeah. Marketing is a long game. Projects are short games, and you have to do them both together. I think if you ask Daniel, what is my super special sauce, it comes down to probabilities and timing. I can look at a situation and quickly understand the probability that we'll buy it and the timing of when we will. And if you can understand probability and timing, it allows you to line things up.
I love that.
Everything is based on probability and timing. And that's why absorption rate and understanding the back end, because what you said, your funnel, right? If things get clogged up, a bad sale, a fail sale on the resale side messes up our acquisition pipeline.
That's right. Yeah, in our meetings, I always go to my first question is which deal are we going to close next? That's the deal I want to talk about. Yeah. Then I want to talk about the next deal that, you know, is coming up in the pipeline, or the next deal that needs to be put under contract. And I work it backwards rather than, oh, we're chasing 20 deals. Great. If we don't close any of them, we're just running in circles. Yeah. We're not doing anything. So our measure of success, I think, ultimately it is closed transactions, but I think that you have to build that funnel. You have to build that pipeline. And if your pipeline is weak and you're excited because you're closing a deal or two, then you're missing the boat. Like I think you have to measure the success throughout the life, the life of your pipeline.
Yeah, because right now we have the problem of like we got the funnel really full. It's always been the opposite problem of we got a few deals under contract, need more leads. But
Well,
we
you
have
say
a couple.
always, but really it bounces back and forth. What was somebody talking about the chips and the dip? There's always like one of our guests.
That's awesome.
I'm trying to remember who it was. Oh, it was the guy who does storage.
Ryan Gibson.
Ryan Gibson.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
Ryan Gibson
Yeah.
had the chips and the dip, right? It's like you go to the party
Yeah.
and, oftentimes it's like, oops, we ran out of dip. Oh, now we ran out of chips. It's like, well, which one do you keep? Like, so to me, the pipeline that's a very easy way to visualize it is like you have to have the chips and the dip. And so you can't just throw a party with one or the other.
Yep.
You got to have both.
That's why it's not about the money or the deal. It's about both. And that's where if you can have a wide perspective and understanding, you see both sides.
And if you go back and listen to Deal Junkies over the last 200 episodes we've had, I can't tell you how many times you've said we've got enough deals, but we can't find the money. And so we do this dance back and forth where it's like, okay, we've got all the money we need, but we don't have the deals. Oh, now we've got all the deals we need. Now we don't have the money. It's like
It's always ebbing and
and
flowing.
it's always ebbing and
Your
flowing.
definition of full pipeline is based on how much gunpowder you have, right?
Yeah.
If you have a whole bunch of gunpowder, that has to be a big pipeline.
Well, and to Ryan Gibson's point, I've always taught that the money follows deals. He says he'll argue that all day long, that it's the other way around,
comes
that
from
the
the
deals
finance
follow the money. I think it goes back to the chips and dip conversation. It's kind of like, which comes first, the chicken or the egg? You got to have both, and you got to have deals and you got to have money. If you don't keep both of those things flowing, the part that's hard for us is to figure out, how do you build a sustainable life cycle pipeline to where there's always enough deals and there's always enough money? And I think part of that comes into just having the right equity partners building out. We're still a startup. So we might have 20 or 30 investors, but when we fleshed out 50 or 100 investors into our group that we know we can always go back to over and over that are going to want to invest in our deals, now you have a lot more confidence in filling that pipeline as long as we're following our buy box. And then to Mike's point, to be a good partner and not just a syndicator, we don't just want to do deals. We want to do good deals. And so you don't just put deals in your pipeline because it is a deal. You want to do the good deals.
yeah, and that's where you guys have a whole team. Like most syndicators, you have someone focusing on debt and someone focusing on capital and investor relations, right? And then maybe you have an asset manager. You guys have someone focused on debt, someone focused on the capital, someone focused on being a CEO and looking ahead, someone focused on managing the money and seeing the pipeline, someone focused on the construction side, professional property management side, right? And now you have teams of asset managers and acquisitionists. So that's what you need to scale. If your idea is I'm a syndicator and I'm two human beings, you're not an operator yet. Because you don't have this, you're wielding a huge lever, and do you have the power to wield that properly?
Yeah, we always said the first bottleneck is going to be deals. The second bottleneck is going to be capital. The third bottleneck is going to be operations, like actually building out the people on the team that can actually run this the way that it needs to be run. To me, you've got to have all three. You've got to have the money, you got to have the deals and the money in order to have the capital to build the team. And then if you don't have that team on the backside, it doesn't matter because you could go buy 10 deals today, but you can't run them. So what's the point?
Yeah, dude, I love that. So the reason I'm so excited about this one syndication is because we are able to increase unit size by less than 20%, but staff size by 50%, right? So that is you bring on significant, typically when you build a business, you're bringing on expense to get more revenue to break even, to spend more expense to get more revenue to break even, right? That's the fucking BRRRR process. The BRRRR process sucks. You never get anywhere except you have a balance sheet. But after doing the BRRRR process for a decade, now you have equity to tap into. And now you can make one play that brings on a lot of stuff. And so that's where by focusing on bandwidth for 2 years, now you do one strategic acquisition that brings in revenue before you spend any expense. And then that expense expands more than what what's required for that one revenue stream. And actually, Sarah just emailed me. She's like, we added 35 units under me. So my portfolio manager added 35 units last year and 62 this month. And so add on top of the 46 we bought, we added another 16. And so I'm focused on, this increases, by 20%, increases my portfolio by more than that. But I'm so excited about the staff. And the reason they're excited, because they have another 16 and they're not. So they can see that, oh, wow, we're expanding beyond this one purchase, even though the first 6 months is going to be a nightmare. And overall, we're expanding our team. We're better. We can handle more. And then we're going to all get much better going through this one process. And then 6 months from now, where are we going to be at? Mm-hmm. It's cool. It's awesome.
Yeah. It's, it's startup phase, man. Mm-hmm. Like, we're all kind of in the same boat. Like, you can't build out the team without being able to pay them. And so how do you build a portfolio that pays them? How do you build a company? That's what I keep asking. It's like, I was asking Paul yesterday, I was like, when do you actually make money at this?
When you get the right people. You don't start making money until you have the right people in the right seat on the bus going in the right direction.
Yeah.
And that's that Jim Rohn.
I mean, we're building, even in a down market, we're buying deals, we're building equity. It just seems so hard to put cash in the bank account.
It's because you want to keep buying
Well, you're
deals.
really good at putting it in the bank account. You're really bad at not
leaving it in
back
there.
out
To do another deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, Logan always said that. He's like, I've always wanted to stack up more cash, but every time I do, there's always a deal I like better
I'm
than
really
than the
good at
you
cash.
have to
spending.
feel, don't you feel a different level of momentum though?
Yeah, I feel like we're maturing in all avenues, and I feel like it's taken longer and it's taken more energy and effort than I thought it was going to take to build out.
Yeah.
In all fronts, between property management, brokerage, syndication, the whole thing. It's hard. I mean, there's a reason why everybody doesn't do it, because it's hard and it takes time.
I had such a good conversation on capacity. I went to meet my friend Derek, who gave me a bid on one of our projects to build out, and he has a huge management company, builds a lot of stuff, and it was a conversation about his business and capacity and EOS and KPIs, and how he had some extra bandwidth, but this is something I felt, which is I've been in a position where I can't put anything on my staff, right? Like, we just let really expensive mistakes go. We have a conversation about it. We don't stress out about it. It is what it is. I don't expect you to catch everything. You're overworked. And so you can't put anything else on it. You can't look into these KPIs. We can't change systems. We can't do things because they don't have capacity. But once he got capacity, he was able to ask questions, just one quick questions of run this report, run that report. And then now he can see things and then put together systems and questions, and then staff were part of that process along the way of being involved of, well, why do we have KPIs? What are we actually tied to? And so if Jim Rohn is, first you have to build the bus, then you got to get people on the bus, and then you got to get the wrong people off the bus, and then the right people on the right seats in the bus, and get the bus going, and then going in the right direction. And that is a long process.
And then sometimes you got to change the tires on the bus.
Yeah.
And swap the motor.
And
out
there's
of
your
the
market
bus.
conditions and the outside forces coming in. Yeah, and the drunk driver. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, you're talking about it goes from how do we build a team to now we have the team, how do we build efficiencies and the systems in place in order to keep the team running.
Yeah.
I love the idea of building a company where it doesn't matter. Like, Logan and I keep having these conversations about building an institutional company. Institutional, really, like, you come out of that startup phase. We went through the partner phase, we went through the startup phase, and we want to get to the point where we grow a company that if one of us were to die, going back to the death conversation, the company keeps going. It's not based on us anymore. We've built out the team, we've built out the systems. Now the machine is going. And really what you're talking about is it gets bigger than you.
Yeah, that's a sellable business. That is something more than being self-employed.
Yeah, because somebody else can take it and they know they can. It's not just going to fall apart because you came out of the driver's seat.
That's a legacy through your business.
Yep.
Yeah. I love that.
Trevor's just sitting there thinking, what are you guys even talking about right now?
No, this is what I'm thinking about daily.
This is his brain. What do you have to say, Trevor? You look like you have a lot
you
on your
think
mind
about
right
it
now.
daily.
Yeah. Well, I mean, my thing right now is I need to solve these problems for us, but I keep doing too many small menial tasks.
What problems do you need to
forward.
solve? What, like you said, these problems.
Well, it's the things he's talked about, the bottlenecks within each function, and we face each one and we want to get ahead of them rather than you run into the problem and then realize it's a problem.
But the only problem you pointed to is a full pipeline and no deals.
Well, it's going to be we have 9 deals we're looking at building. It's like 1,000 units that I'm trying to line up. and that's going to be a bandwidth problem to build those 1,000 units at that time. But you want to get ahead of it, get them lined up, and then start hiring for that, and then solve the money problem.
Sometimes I talk about the engine and the transmission, and because I'm a car guy, so it's just how it works. Our engine is very, very powerful. We have visionaries on our team. We're big thinkers. Like, a lot of people go, oh, you're going to go build 1,000 units? Like, yeah, right. Like, we're like, oh, yeah, we'll go do it. The problem is you have to have the transmission. If you have 1,000 horsepower engine and you've got a transmission that'll handle 100 horsepower engine, you're going to blow your transmission out, and it's great. You've got a very powerful engine, but the car is not going to go anywhere. So I've been trying to do this in our management company for the last 5 years, and that was our whole saying is we're going to build the transmission, because I already know I'm 1,000 horsepower engine. I already know that I'll take us bigger than we ever dreamed that we could go, because that's where my head is at. The problem is if I press down on the gas pedal, I'm going to blow this whole thing up. The transmission's going to fall right out the back. And so that became the whole focus, is how do we build the team and the systems and the efficiencies so that when it is time, like right now we're onboarding almost 800 doors in our management company. That's a lot. Most management companies, that's about the size of a management company. We're going to onboard that in a month. Well, most, I don't know how many companies could do that, but we can do that. But we couldn't have done that 5 years ago because we didn't have the transmission built. And it took longer, like I said, and more energy, time, money, and everything to build the transmission out. But finally, we're at a point now where it's like we can bring on doors, and we know we can do this because we have the transmission built out. I think a lot of companies fail because they go out and they go like, let's go to that next level, and they're not ready for that next level. It's like, how do you build the airplane in midair when you've already taken off, right?
Most people do.
You gotta land that plane and get it built first, and then take off.
It's okay to land it and upgrade it and take back off.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's okay to stop, like you're talking about the bus. It's okay as the bus goes along to stop, fix the bus, and put it back on the road again and make sure it's going in the right direction. So, I mean, Trevor and I had this conversation the other night, and he's like, hey, we're having some deficiencies here and there, and this, we're not getting some of the outputs that we're looking for. And I said, well, get used to this, because this is what running a company is all about. Like, one day we're going to get to the point where we're going to be like, yes, we did it, and everything's working. And the next day, something's going to break.
When you guys are talking about building 1,000 units, you now have to talk about your tires and your traction and the people that are building them. Like, we have a project coming out of the ground now, and it's been 14 months of hundreds of emails. We spent 50 grand in construction, 20 grand in a demo, and 100 plus grand in professionals via email. Now you have people out there moving dirt, and we spent $200,000 in 4 weeks, and you've got a little bit of concrete. Otherwise, it's just labor and machinery and actual work. And if you don't have that part lined out, that messes everything up. And so that's the size of the lever. When you're getting construction loans, the world changes, man. It's a whole
Mark
different
does
world.
all that though. Mark's good at that stuff.
Mark, I love how he loves to discount you. I don't discount you at all, Mark.
No, I'm saying Mark's got that thing locked down. I don't even have to worry about
Mark
it.
makes it look easy.
Extreme
Mark does make it
confidence.
look easy.
I love your extreme confidence.
That's all I've had all my life. It's worked out so far.
There you go.
I have more confidence in the people on our team than I do in myself. And I think that's one thing that makes a team special, is when you feel like you bring a synergy where everybody plays a role. These guys will look at me and they'll go like, oh my gosh, what do we do? And I go, oh, it's okay, you just do this. I don't feel like I bring a lot to the table, but they look to me and they're like, well, we can do it because Gabe says we can do it. If Mark says we can build 1,000 units, then I'll go, that's all I need to know. Mark says we can do it. We can do it.
Okay.
That's it. Right? Trevor says we can put 10 deals under contract this month.
Okay.
Like, I personally, I don't know. That sounds kind of freaking scary to me, but
We'll figure it out.
we've got the right team for it. So
Always
we'll do
works
it.
out.
It takes guts.
Gotta know your tires.
Building the bus by Mike Nuss. It rhymes.
Oh,
All right. We going to wrap
Nuss.
this one up, guys?
the Nuss bus. That was a real thing.
Trevor just took a nap because he's going to run 100 miles this weekend. He's got to get his rest. He's going to be. Can we get some video? And
He's going to run 100 miles this weekend.
Yeah, he's not going to attempt.
No,
We're going to take the word attempt out of your
It's stupid.
vocabulary.
Yeah.
If you don't run it,
I could say I'm going to attempt to run 100 miles this weekend. You're going to run 100
Yeah.
miles this weekend.
I could say I'm not going to attempt to run 100 miles this weekend.
That's true.
I'm not even going to think about attempting it.
All right.
You want to partake in our half Ironman we're hosting?
You want me to record some video for you or
you're gonna-
sing some karaoke?
You gotta
She's
sing
going to be the
months.
flag girl.
He'll take video of your launch off the deck.
All right, Deal Junkies. We're going to wrap this one up. We love you guys. Please share us with someone you love, and we'll see you next time.